Welcome back to Capitol Tonight. Progressives are still rejoicing over Zohran Mamdani's win in the Democratic mayoral primary in New York City last week and what it means for races this year and next year's midterms. Joining me now with her view is Jasmine Gripper. She's the co-chair of New York's Working Families Party. Jasmine, great to see you. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
So what do you make of these wins and the state of the progressive movement as a whole right now?
I think the voters have spoken that they want something new and different. They are tired of the politics of old. They are tired of the scandal-ridden politicians who think that they own our democracy, and they are ready to embrace change. And young people came out in big numbers to support Zohran Mamdani, and we beat the candidates who were backed by the billionaires.
So yeah, let's talk about the fact that young people, new voters came out and really voted for Mamdani. So what does the Democratic Party have to do to continue to attract these voters and make this not just a one-off?
I think they have to continue to promote programs that excite young people. They want bold ideas. They want meaningful solutions. Zohran ran a campaign that was focused on the affordability crisis in New York. So he talked about freezing the rents, making buses fast and free, and affordable free universal childcare. These are things that are pocketbook issues for everyday New Yorkers who are struggling to make ends meet here in New York. And he was ready to get it done by taxing the ultra wealthy. And New Yorkers who, the old guard who want to just keep the status quo and don't want bold changes are going to have a reckoning to deal with. Well, do they want to keep this base turned out and coming out in large numbers, or do you want them to go away again? And I think if Dems really want to win in the midterms, they need to keep this base activated, and therefore they need candidates who speak to this base of voters and have bold ideas.
So what does that mean for the general? I mean, in the primary, you get the true believers, you know, people who are on the left side of the Democratic Party. Now we usually see Democrats and Republicans sort of moderate themselves after a primary to appeal to independent and moderate voters. Do you think that's going to happen?
This is New York City. Overwhelmingly, the population is Democratic. The independent voters in New York City are the super lefties. They are the Working Families Party registrants. They are the independent voters. They are happy to jump in because we have closed primaries and are ready to cast their vote. We do not need to move to the center. Zohran is fine. No one's worried about the Republican winning. Eric Adams is pretty much a non-factor, and Andrew Cuomo got embarrassed. It's time to get behind the Democratic nominee and his ideas, and let's win in November.
So Jasmine, while the WFP has touted these victories as wins for the party, they were successful in Democratic Party primaries. Do you think that the WFP should work to elect its own slate of candidates rather than moving another party to the left?
I mean, we live in a mostly two-party system. We are a minor party with major impact, and we use our impact by not just contending for spoiler races, but actually moving real power. The purpose of the Working Families Party is to win governing power on behalf of working class New Yorkers. And we're on track to do that, winning the candidate in the New York City mayoral race, the Albany mayoral race, Dorcia Pleers, the Syracuse mayoral race, Sharon Owens, and the Buffalo mayoral race with Sean Ryan. WFP candidates had a sweep across the state.
How come you guys didn't endorse anybody in Rochester?
There was an incumbent there. There was some conversation about should we get behind the incumbent? Should we endorse someone who was challenging him?
Malik Evans,
in
by
the
the
end,
way. Yep.
The local chapter decided to just focus on city council races.
Okay. So progressives, we've heard all kinds of things coming from different perspectives. People saying on the right that Zohran Mamdani is a communist. People on the left saying that socialists and progressives are the same. But are they? I mean, they're lumped together, but are they the same? Is there daylight between the progressive movement and the socialist activists that we've been seeing lately?
I think people are attempting to use labels to divide us. There might be some differences in how we think, but essentially the Working Families Party sees itself as a big tent umbrella that includes the Democratic Socialists, that includes the Labor Democrats, and that includes some mainstream Dems who are also really frustrated with their own party and wish they were doing more and engage with the Working Families Party to get that done. But we can work together. The problem I think Democrats had was throwing away parts of their coalition that they needed to win. When Democrats win big, that's all parts of the Democratic Party are coming out. That's young people, that's queer people, that's Muslim people, that's Black people, that's Asian people. We need the plethora of voters to all come out and see themselves in the candidates, to see themselves in the vision of what's happening and what's being promoted. We can't throw aside or cast aside portions of voters. We can make difficult conversations and we can build a robust coalition.
That must also mean you can't throw away the moderate Democrats who might be feeling disaffected and who worry that while Mamdani ran a super campaign, it might not translate into running a city. What do you say to them?
So one, he spoke to people who voted for Donald Trump, right? And that where we had swings in New York City that went to the right for Donald Trump, we saw a lot of that swing back in our favor. And so he's able to speak to a base of voters that are out there that people are not quite connecting with. Even AOC talked to her voters who voted for AOC and Donald Trump. Why are there these voters that are holding these two extremes? They're looking for candidates who are going to get things done and are not beholden to the establishment. Zohran is a candidate who's ready to get things done. He's willing to work with the people to do it. And we need Democrats to not be self-sabotaging in this instance and help him to be successful. When he's successful, all of the residents, all of the citizens of New York City are successful, and that's what's most important.
Jasmine Gripper, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to Capitol Tonight. As we just mentioned, last week, New York City voters selected Zohran Mamdani as their Democratic nominee for mayor, besting former Governor Andrew Cuomo in a pretty crowded race. The win by the self-identified socialist has sparked a debate about where the Democratic Party is heading following the losses in 2024. Joining me now to break it down is former Hudson Valley State Senator and principal at Carlucci Consulting, David Carlucci. Senator, thank you so much for taking the time. It's good to see you.
You too. Great to be with you. Thanks.
So what do you make of Zohran Mamdani's win more broadly? Is this about a progressive surge, or is this more about a flawed candidate in Andrew Cuomo?
Well, I think it's hard to point to one exact thing, but I think overall what we see is that this is a candidate that excited people. He talks specifically about affordability issues, and he gave people that idea and that vision of what you could do, whether it was free busing or government-run supermarkets. And that's something that people could really imagine and get their head around. And I think the other candidates struggled to do that. Andrew Cuomo, we all know, extremely effective, has a long resume, but also had baggage that was brought up repeatedly in the campaign. So I think he was up against a tough candidate in Andrew Cuomo, but it's also a two-sided sword, if you will, in that matter. But ultimately, I think this could be a shot in the arm for Democrats. If you look at it at the glass half full, the Democratic Party, we have a large tent. We have a diverse group of people within our party in terms of ideas. And the Republicans on the other side have just Donald Trump. And if you disagree with Donald Trump at all, you're chased away from the party. So I think as we head to the general in November and as we head to the midterms, that diversity, that big tent attitude and idea can really win over voters and bring many successes across the board.
So Republicans, though, have already tried to connect Governor Kathy Hochul and the Democratic nominee for the governor of New Jersey to Zohran Mamdani, saying that their leadership, for example, has allowed someone who is so left-wing to emerge as the candidate. Could he become a liability for moderate candidates?
Well, I think Republicans are going to try that tactic, of course, and that would be with any mayor of New York City. Look, when I was a senator, they tried to link me to de Blasio, and it's always something that's tough when you're in a suburban district, and I'm sure around the country. So, of course, Republicans would love nothing more than to use some of these salacious sound bites and attach them to Democrats. But beyond that, I think what we see here is just an energized party. we see a turnout that is about 300,000, if not more, than the primary we had 4 years ago. We see early voting being a success. And so that shows me that these are the types of bold ideas that we need to excite people that just aren't coming out to vote.
Yeah, well, certainly it excited the young voters. I mean, the Democratic Party should take whatever Zohran Mamdani is doing and replicate it again and again, because young voters came out as strong or stronger than they did in the Obama years. How do Democrats keep that going?
Yeah, I think that's the question, right? It's not going to be from the same old tactics that we've been using. And I think something that's important, and I tell people I work with all the time, that in these campaigns, you win by one vote, you're a genius. You lose by one vote, you're an idiot. And that's not really how we should think about it if we're talking about winning elections. What Mamdani has done in New York City can work for New York City. It's not going to work for the Hudson Valley or for Western New York or the rest of the country per se. But a little bit of what he's doing, a little bit of the policies, a little bit of the social media, the ground game particularly. If you adapt that into other parts of the state, other parts of the country, that's going to be extremely effective. So you got to take pieces. It's not, every single thing the candidate did was amazing. I'm sure if he looked back and reflected, there's things he would do different himself. And the same can be said about Andrew Cuomo's campaign or any of these candidates. And that's what's interesting to me. You look at these candidates, and what was the separation that made Zohran really explode in popularity while these other candidates just couldn't get that ground game going? That's something that we're going to dissect for many months, if not years, to figure out what that difference was.
Yeah, he's a naturally talented candidate, that's for sure. Now, here's the $64,000 question, or maybe the $64 million question because of inflation. We have seen the Republican Party turn right under President Trump. Should Democrats continue to seemingly embrace the left, or should they continue to embrace the middle? What do you think? You're somebody who was elected in a suburban area that I think it's fair to say that you embrace the middle.
Absolutely. I think we definitely have to embrace the middle. And that's what our Democratic nominee is going to have to do as they move closer to the general election. That's already talked about. And this is going to be a time where he has to really explain himself on a lot of these issues. And I think we all have to come to that realization as the Democratic Party, it's about compromise and it's about a coalition. The only way we can beat Republicans and the Donald Trump is through a coalition style government. Our Democratic Party is too diverse.
Right.
You look at that vote, Andrew Cuomo wasn't too far behind Mamdani. We can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So we have to recognize that it's a little bit of give and take. And I think nothing articulates that more than the perceived threat Democrats have of Donald Trump and this Republican Party, where it's gone.
Very interesting.
If we can do that, and I'm not saying it's easy, but if we can do that in terms of a little bit of compromise and the left and the right coming together, we can win, and we can win with big margins.
Next time, we'll talk about Israel. We've been speaking with former Hudson Valley State Senator David Carlucci. He's the principal at Carlucci Consulting. Senator, great to see you. Thanks for taking the time.
Great to be with you. Thanks.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth political coverage. And click the subscribe button here. You can also download our app and watch us on TV to learn more about the candidates, where they stand on the issues, and more. We'll see you then.